In Kingdom Hearts as of late, the use of Latin has been conspicuously used to indicate the age of fairy tales. The examples include character names, the name of Nomura's favorite world in Kingdom Hearts 3, Scala, and finally, a little game called Verum Rex. In a prior video, I stated that the Master of Masters is hiding in Yozora's spotlight, and that we in time would definitely review this attempt to maintain his distance and how it shapes into the battle Yozora and the Master of Masters are meant to have. This is a video about the true meaning and purpose of Verum Rex. So Nomura stated back in 2019, a whole 2 years ago, that Verum Rex and Yozora are not a rework of Final Fantasy Versus 13. Rather, the elements of Versus 13 are kind of serving a new role, a role that will unfold and unravel in due time. This is why that rant from the Master of Masters about Luxu conjuring theories appears within Kingdom Hearts Union Chi's finale. But that confirmation by Nomura grants us a large variety of takes on the role Quadratum and Verum Rex will have on the future. Because if Yozora and his world are not Versus 13, and thus not a Versus 13 arc that's going to play out within the Kingdom Hearts series over time, then that means Quadratum as a whole will probably be as pivotal to other references by Tetsuya Nomura throughout the series thus far. Think of it more so like The World Ends With You in Dream Drop Distance, or Final Fantasy in Kingdom Hearts 1. Nomura uses his other properties to teach Sora and Riku the lessons of these other amazing worlds, stories, and characters, and uses these characters as supporting roles to the overall narrative of the Kingdom Hearts series. Sora has found himself at the brink of death once again, and in this state he is forced out of reality and stripped of the power that could get him home. And with this framework in place, we can begin to look more in depth into Verum Rex. So in the past, Ephemera founded Scala, which Xehanort called the nexus from which all worlds spring. This would entail the creation of the realms of light, between, and darkness. But new to the series is a realm called unreality. A lot of you guys have asked for my take of what unreality is from a world building perspective, and I think I have a general idea. One that doesn't leave out any potential possibilities and implementations this realm may have in the future of the series. So basically kind of like a definition more so than a what I think it's going to serve. It's kind of like a definition here in which I believe unreality as a realm is home to worlds of fiction that encapsulate their own universes as the setting of their stories. This is why it's fiction based on fiction within the series. Think of it like how the star calls Quadratum instead of saying Verum Rex. So instead of saying the game's name, she names the setting within the game. Real life examples of this would be if I came to you and said Middle Earth, the galaxy far, far away, Earth 616, Konoha, or the Soul Society. Do you see what I'm getting at? In real life, we consider all these places to be fiction, but in saying that they are fiction, we understand the vast universe all these places make up. It's fiction, but they're fictional worlds of their very own. This is why I never took the parallel of Yozora and Sora to mean a whole lot as we learn more about Yozora and his world. If Yozora is just fiction, then his role can only serve so much to the main plot. If he cannot reach outside to our reality, or on our side of reality, in the way a Keyblade wielder can traverse realms and worlds with the added confirmation of unreality being a realm by Xehanort, it's clear that Yozora is indeed just a video game character, a character based on Sora, but doesn't look like Sora. He is a creation of someone's imagination, and thus can't be realized in reality. This is how the idea of Yozora being brain becomes more prevalent, because we have a lot of hints to this in Union Chi. But before we can talk on those, I want to establish that link between Scala Achilum and Verum Rex.
Watch.
So as aforementioned, Scala Achilum and Verum Rex both are based in Latin, meaning Stairway to Heaven and True King. In the Master of Masters video, we talked extensively about all the lines between Sora and the Master, who have both appeared in the world of Verum Rex, the world called True King. In this world is the city of Quadratum, which roughly translates to square. Ericus's name is the letters from square moved around to spell Ericus. This world setting is named after Ericus, which I think is an indication that it comes from the scholars of Scala Achilum and / or the royal family. Remember, Ericus wanted to keep the royal family's knowledge a secret from young Xehanort, but comes clean after winning their chess game and making their promise to each other to always be there for one another. In Union Chi, we met a man named Sigurd. This man's name is very close to Luxord, which is how Lushu says it. I know we've been saying Luxord all these years, but Lushu says it as Luxord. Sigurd, Luxord. They kind of sound close. But what's cool about him is that he seems to be like Brain's Charity, where his Charity wears a cute little hat. Sigurd also appears to be his chaperone. Luxord in unreality is Yozora's chauffeur. So if Sigurd is Brain's chaperone who will guide him through Scala Achilum and take him to HQ, Luxord kind of plays a very similar role in being the chauffeur of Yozora. But he somehow got out of the game and into reality. Meanwhile, Xehanort knew of unreality 11 years prior to Sora's disappearance. This is even remarked at by Yin Sid. He also, for some reason, asks about the Lost Masters, and Mickey is sent to Scala Achilum by Yin Sid to learn about the Ancient Masters. So the Lost Masters and the Ancient Masters represent the two different groups that the Master of Master used. This is going to be a bit of a tangent. I won't lose my place, but this is going to be a bit of a tangent. The Lost Masters is the foretellers. The Ancient Masters is the individuals that made up the Union leaders within Kingdom Hearts Union Key. This is going to be Marluxia, Laurium, Ventus, Brain, Ephemera, and Scold. That's who these characters are going to be. This is why Tetsuya Nomura said that their presence will be felt in Kingdom Hearts 3, because Mickey is about to go on a search for them after the events of Kingdom Hearts Memories of Melodies, but their connection was established in Kingdom Hearts 3. The Masters missing from Scala Achilum as told to Brain upon his arrival. Remember, Sigurd told Brain that he was the only one known to exist within this time. He's the only one known to exist within this time. So that's why I personally believe that Brain, again, is revived in the times of now, not the far distant past. We weren't shown his revival because he's supposed to be indicating to us that he is Ericus's ancestor. What it's showing to us, and even if he is, let's use it. Let's say it is a possibility. Even if he is, that more than likely comes from Lushu leaving the body or the version of Brain that he had, potentially going on to live a normal life. The Brain that appears at the end in Scala Achilum with Sigurd is closer to our time. There's too many connections that seem to put him in our time, not the distant past, just so he can be Ericus's grandfather or great-grandfather or great ancestor. That doesn't seem to be the case. But either way, this seems to be how Brain will come back, or what Brain's connection is to the times of now after him being reborn from almost 1,000 years. You think the first thing that they'd want to do with a character that just witnessed the end of the freaking world and all of this, you think the first thing that they want to do if this is his resurrection is get him situated within Scala at Kylum. They will want to show him how things operate, how things work, and what all the work that they've done due to his grand sacrifice alongside the founder. But instead, the first thing that they do is bring him to an HQ, which is where he is apparently going to be given a task from these people who he don't even know. However, Sigurd shows him their founder was Ephemera, somebody that he does trust. So, with that being said, we don't even have to guess the part that Mickey is going to play within Scala at Kylum because it's given to us within Memories of Melody. In Memories of Melody, Mickey is going to find the Ancient Masters. He's going to go research the Ancient Masters. Yensid said in Memories of Melody that Xehanort must have learned everything that he's learned about unreality itself from the trials of the Ancient Masters. So if he learned everything about that he knows of unreality from the Ancient Masters, then this would mean that Verum Rex and how it plays into unreality has to be tied to these Ancient Masters as well, meaning that it's also tied right back into the age of fairy tales. So what is the meta-referential importance of Verum Rex, True King? Well, we know the people in Scala at Kylum had a means of knowing the future. In the Book of Prophecies, Brain and the Master of Masters both appear to have a deep look into Sora himself. There's a page featuring the Kingdom Key, his crown, and a dark side. This page is shown to us at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Key after Kairi's grandmother finishes her story, and we know Kairi's grandmother's words has saved Sora's life twice now. It's like as though she truly was telling Sora the story, as Kairi can't even fall to darkness to begin with. This is why she's roaming in the darkness unharmed when Sora is reviving their friends. With Kingdom Hearts far off in the distance, and when Kairi takes him back to the realm of the living, Sora almost crosses over into Kingdom Hearts before Kairi yanks him out and into the world of the living. So when Yozora gets excited about finally meeting Sora, notice he course corrects this by turning the conversation into treating him as a nonchalant memory. I've heard of you before. To keep Sora from pressing on how and why Yozora knows of his existence, the same way Yozora treats Sora's awareness as an improbability of his very own. Sora is supposed to be a character from reality. Verum Rex isn't really a game being sold, it's just part of the fake world created by Xehanort, which rejoined with the real one at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. You can see this in the credits when Woody and Buzz notice Andy is finally back. He's finally returned, or that they finally returned to their real place. So how does he know about Yozora? Is the reason the boss fight occurs. Yozora also has patches on his shoulders that appear to be the X-Blade and a skull that appears to look like Sora, which can be indicative of Sora's death-like state, Yozora's purpose to fight the Master of Masters and retrieve the Keyblade, or Sora and the Master look the very same. But the two Kingdom Keys are definitely a X-Blade reference. But when we meet Yozora in the secret episode, this cutscene is called False's Rex, False King, which I believe to have two meanings. It's like the game is telling us that Yozora is not the true king that Verum Rex refers to. And with the added context, he isn't going to be a massive character to the overall plot of the future. With all we know here on this channel for recurring viewers, the Master and Sora seem to be sons of Kingdom Hearts, two princes on the verge of becoming kings with the return of the legendary weapon, the X-Blade, in its near complete state. The Master planned to reach this point in time specifically. Ava recruited Brain to her cause of wanting to see the future changed, and even labels himself a virus that will stop the plans of the Master of Masters, even asking Darkness questions as if he suspects Darkness and the Master to be at least closely tied. So I ask again, what is Verum Rex? A cage for the Master of Masters. See, in Kingdom Hearts 3, the 7 Guardians trapped Xehanort in a time portal while attempting to stop Kingdom Hearts on the other side. However, with the time portal, Xehanort says to Sora that there is one sky and one destiny, summoning Kingdom Hearts to its complete form, which still posed the threat of purging the world according to Master Xehanort. Time portal or not, the threat level was the same. Kingdom Hearts being summoned in the past, present, or future wouldn't matter as its powers transcend time and space. The Keyblade grants this same power to their wielders. They have control over space and time. Verum Rex and Quadratum is a world where Kingdom Hearts can't influence because it can't reach over into unreality, because it is not a world born from the aggregate of all hearts. It's a world of imagination, not a world of heart. Just like the Data Daybreak Town at the end of Kingdom Hearts Union Key, Sora and the Master are hiding in Yozora's spotlight. In the Yozora cutscene, Sora is shown to be at a destiny crossroads where multiple paths lead to different outcomes. And there's four characters obviously enough that appear within this exact same cutscene. Sora, Riku, Yozora, and then the Master of Masters. There's 3 outcomes. The King can return with Riku, come under the protection of Yozora and his friends, or have the X-Blade taken by the Master, the other son of Kingdom Hearts. Sora, Brain, and Riku are here to attempt to stop the Master, who we know will potentially emerge from unreality if the gathering is indeed his return. So, with all of this, we can come to the basis of what Verum Rex actually is supposed to be, what it actually represents for the series. And we know that the Master of Masters, and understand, this is why I've been pushing this idea of Ava being around. When you take into consideration the whole time travel and how the Master of Masters explains to the Darkness that apparently appears to be Ava, as she's said by Charity to be prudent, meaning to care a lot about the future. The prudent Ava is the Darkness that talks to the Master of Masters about what he wants and what he seeks. The Master of Masters even explicitly, well, not explicitly, but the Master of Masters even talks to this Darkness about a world that he can't even conceive, a world that he can't even conjure, and he even explains to this Darkness how it's a world of unreality. Due to this fact, this Darkness may have a means of understanding by taking control over someone else's body. So if this is Ava who retains this information from the Master of Masters, by taking someone else's body, they may come to understand a world of unreality, which appears to be the exact same case with the Data Daybreak Town. But see, the point of me mentioning in this video that unreality, in my opinion, is supposed to be imaginary worlds that encapsulate universes of their own, like the galaxy far, far away or Middle Earth. What I meant by that is that Verum Rex is a video game where the universe itself is very different from the Kingdom Hearts universe. This is why Nomura used the remnants of Versus 13 to establish this world of unreality. It can't be realized, meaning that this isn't somewhere that will ever truly exist, as in Kingdom Hearts, the aggregate of all hearts, will never be used to create a world like Verum Rex, unless Sora does this in the future, if he winds up becoming the true king, or he may potentially deny his place in the universe, which could lead to a whole other can of worms, but we're not at that point yet. So if it can't be realized, a world that the Master of Masters can't even conceive, and he appears to be the person who created the one world after the destruction of the world that he came from the times even before the Age of Fairy Tales, then it would seem that what Verum Rex is supposed to be is very much like the data world and what it represented for the darknesses that appeared within the data world before. It's supposed to represent a cage for the Master of Masters. This is why it's called the True King. But when we meet with Yozora in the secret episode, that cutscene where him and Sora finally meet is called Falsus Rex. Yozora is not the king himself. He's not the true king. And what's up with the Latin representation for Verum Rex to begin with? It comes from its place from coming from Scala at Kylum. It has a connection. The world in Verum Rex is called Quadratum. It's a quadrant, a square. It's a square. Ericus's name is square flipped around. So whoever created this or planned to create this world of unreality apparently seemed to be very closely tied to the royal family, who named their latest child Square, or square with the words flipped around to spell Ericus. So this seems to be, and just think about the company Square Enix is selling this game in the world of Toy Box in Kingdom Hearts 3. Square, Ericus, and the world itself is called Quadratum. There's 4 indications of Square. Square could even be people who were under, because of course we know about the time that Xehanort spent out amongst the worlds, but we know that Ericus was specifically trained to eventually take up the Land of Departure. But we know that Ericus also knows about the Lost Masters and their return, and so does Yen Sid. Yen Sid even references his time as being a Keyblade Master when he gives the new role for Mickey to undertake to go to Scala at Kylum. Xehanort is said by Yen Sid to know more about unreality and thus the world of Verum Rex from his time at Scala at Kylum. It seems to be that Verum Rex itself comes from Scala at Kylum, and I believe it to be a cage for the Master of Masters, in which Sora, Riku, and Yozora, who may all go through an arc of being versus each other, just as Sora just fought Yozora, although it seems like they have started a new connection, a new friendship between them. Riku just got here as well. So of course when Riku gets here, he has to catch up with this whole thing between Sora and Yozora himself, meaning he's more than likely going to have to fight Yozora too, and prove that he isn't the Master of Masters, as Brain, who is Yozora, is waiting for the Master of Masters to appear to try and steal the power of the legendary weapon from Sora, who is the true king. But of course, with the Master of Masters being another son of Kingdom Hearts, one that predates Sora, his status as the true king also exists. So what is Verum Rex? Why does it reference the true king? Because whatever happens in this moment, in this point of time, will basically set the plans or destiny in motion to which one of them, Sora or the Master of Masters, will undertake Kingdom Hearts and become the new god, as Xehanort said in his reports in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. That's what I believe Verum Rex is. Either the Master of Masters can be trapped here, or Sora can be trapped here by the Master taking the legendary weapon. This is where the wild card comes in. The wild card is supposed to be a means of Sora getting help from Yozora, his chauffeur, which is, his chauffeur, Luxord, and the rest of the boys. This is why I brought up in this video specifically how Sigurd seems to be someone who's been prepared to undertake this grand task with Brain, as he looks kind of similar to Brain. He even brought his hat. He even brought the fucking hat. He even brought the hat, bro. And then he's wearing a hat very similar to the one Brain wears. There's a group that apparently seems to be under, from the point he arrives, they're supposed to be under Brain, who's supposed to be this leader, which is why I believe he is Yozora. Luxord is like a stand-in character for Sigurd. And then the other two or the other three that we saw will also be other characters too. Brain has his own group of characters who came into this world of unreality with him, and Yozora is who he is in this world to try and fight the Master of Masters and keep him from taking the power of the legendary weapon from Sora. This is what Verum Rex is indicative of, the true king. Whatever happens when all of these forces come together and they start to fight, it's all of these motherfuckers versus this one badass, the Master of Masters. And this even sounds logical to how you presume the Master of Masters would be if he's supposed to be stronger than all of the foretellers. Player character showed off abilities and powers that seem to be above the pay grade of Sora and Old Man Xehanort. If he's above them in power and he got his ass absolutely destroyed by all of the foretellers, like each individual fight, just imagine someone who is even stronger than all of them together as one being fighting all of these motherfuckers. That sounds like it makes sense because we have all of these characters who, this is why they use an unreality world, not just because Sora came here, but they use these standing characters because this nigga possibly is going to fucking wreck everything. And we know that the gathering seems to be a reference to the past, but a call to the future, as stated by Tetsuya Nomura. Even if he didn't mean it in this context at the time, it's a call into the past, but also the future. The Birth by Sleep trio are destined to fail again in the gathering. The scene of the gathering where it appears to be the Master of Masters coming back from unreality, they are destined to go through the exact same fate. The Master of Masters is going to be unfucking stoppable. That's the point of all of these characters being here to assist Sora. And then of course Sora's very own best friend, the person who stood by him from almost the very beginning of their journey, is here as well. This is why Kairi couldn't come with him, because this battle is about to be fucking massive, bro. And they needed to do it here because they can't have the Master of Masters summoning Kingdom Hearts. In the secret movie, he shapes his hand as Kingdom Hearts and places it up to the moon. He knows that fucking Verum Rex is a trap, dog. That's why he does that shit. Because he knows what they're trying to... Somebody created this place to cut him off from the power of Kingdom Hearts. Regardless of where Kingdom Hearts is summoned in space and time, as long as you are connected to the one sky and thus the one destiny of the world, according to Master Xehanort, you can still destroy the whole fucking universe. That's the point of Verum Rex. So let me know what you guys think about this. I went on a fucking tangent, but I had to I had to break it down. I had to make sure everybody knew exactly what I was trying to convey here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. 2022, baby, we coming. It's almost time, bro. We got 3 months till March. And we'll be getting more information about the Kingdom Hearts series going forward. Don't think I haven't had my ear to the ground and heard about how we're going to be doing more than just playing Kingdom Hearts next year. Maybe that's going to be a reference to a video I made talking about how Sora could have potentially been in the likeness of a Pixar character because of a fucking show. But that's neither here or there. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. And don't forget to do a little A-class gaming. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace the heck out. Oh, and Happy New Year's, niggas.